All right, I've Milk back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets today, getting a pretty good bid. We did have a gap down this morning, mainly on the back of NVIDIA. So NVIDIA had their little AI conference yesterday. They did unveil a new chip, and it's nice. It's got AI, right? It's half the size of their previous one. It was a little different though, right? Usually when previous weeks and months, we would see a big bid, maybe a FOMO bid after hours, a 10%, just give NVIDIA a free 10%, right? We've seen that so many times, right? And actually it was down quite a bit after hours, down about 20 points, and actually opened about 15, 20 points lower. We had a little bit of a sideways pattern here, then we kind of just grinded back up, and you saw a little bit of a buy program come in here. Take a look at the Russell, by the way. Look at that buy program. This is how you can tell too. Look at how tight, right? And it kind of just came out of nowhere there. Just all of a sudden, oh, we're going to go higher. So pretty good buy program. That did help NVIDIA out and close back to the green. SMCI was not as fortunate, though. That did sell off in the after hours as well. Also, management announcing a $2 million share offering. That did knock that stock down. Very interested to see where this closes out the month, too, with that tail candle there on the monthly. But nonetheless, semis coming under a little bit of pressure today. The stocks did get back some of those losses. Take a look at this trend line here. It sliced it pretty good. There's still a lot of support around that 210 handle. We didn't quite get there. You got the 50 MA, and then right there, pivot high, kind of a pivot low area, and then you're inside of the gap there. But we came off the lows here. As far as price action is concerned, though, we're just pulling back a little bit here. Market is about to close right there. There's the bell. As far as price action is concerned, again, like very, very noisy, like really noisy, right? So we gapped down, kind of like a little inside bar. It ended up failing. We kind of just drifted higher, and then we just had that buy program where we just kind of exploded higher. For whatever reason, it doesn't really matter, but we exploded higher, and then we kind of followed through here into the end of the day. But my takeaway from this is it's a lot of noise. Very, very noisy. Why? Because we got the Fed tomorrow, right? So what does this mean right now in the short run? If the Fed says something the market doesn't like, we can go right back down. So there's nothing saying that can't happen. I will say, taking at face value here, it doesn't look bad. Like, you got a nice little inside pattern there, even though it's technically not inside, because I think we just check. 51.14. We close. Okay, technically it is an inside bar to that green, so we never close below that. The futures look equally as okay, but again, going back to there's the wedge. If you look at it this way, it's like, well, we still lost all that momentum from this up move. Right now, though, from a technical standpoint, there's really nothing wrong, and I wouldn't rule out a little bit more upside or even like an attempt at 5,200. I don't know if we will break through that and continue higher. Again, I still think that we're kind of at risk for a pivot kind of soon here. That doesn't mean I'm going to act on it until I see the things I need to see, but I am in suspect mode here. One of the reasons, though, why I think we could push higher, again, outside of the inside pattern there, is you got stocks like Apple. This has had a nice recovery here, nice little kind of bull flag there. We rejected the 20-day, and now we're closing basically right back on it today. If that pushes up, and I think this can get to 180, full disclosure, I did pick up some Apple 2 weeks ago. Already have some profits taken on that, just so everybody's aware. But I do think this wants to push back to like 180. If that gets up there, it's going to be hard to imagine the spiders going a ton lower here, unless NVIDIA, loses the 20 MA and breaks down towards this trend line, right? That's possible. Microsoft does the same thing. That's possible. If Microsoft, goes back down towards 4, yeah, we're going to go lower, especially if you get those two. But Apple, and again, there's nothing to say this can't fail. I mean, we technically closed like right on the literally 176.07 right there. See that orange lighting up there in the corner? 176.07 was the close, like literally closed right on top of it. So, there's nothing to say we can't just go back down and get rejected there. But it does have that look like it wants to push back up. You can even see, Tesla, same kind of deal, right? We had that nice little slice down after we broke down, and um, RSI there, nice divergence. It looks like it sucked in some short. So if this gets a pop here, it could be difficult for the market to fade. Again, that doesn't mean that that's going to last. That could just be a short-term thing. But I'm going to really reserve all judgment until I see tomorrow's price action. But I am still kind of in the camp here that regardless of what the Fed does or says tomorrow, even if we pump up a little bit, I think we're kind of due for this correction here. If it ends up being wrong, then it's really no harm, no foul. But that is something I'm looking for here. Another thing that is not really getting talked about too much, and this is bigger than the Fed, believe it or not, at least in the short run, and that is the USD JPY is absolutely going bonkers here. So up 1.16, back above the Feb highs, or at least right at them. And, look at that pattern. I mean, you guys know the first thing about technical analysis, that's not a bearish pattern. That is an ascending triangle. And I mean, it's on the monthly too. This is, a big time pattern here. Well, where's my all-time? There we go. Big all-time pattern here. And we're at levels we haven't seen since the early 90s. Yen or Japan, talking about unwinding yield curve control. We'll see if they actually do it. But this is threatening here. If that breaks above those highs, I think the market would freak out. That's something that's big enough that could make the market freak out. I think the June rate cuts would get dwarfed in comparison to what this would implicate. So something to keep an eye on there. Even if even if Powell's dovish, this could come back to bite the market. So that's a risk to keep an eye on. Another risk is that the Qs here are much weaker than the spiders. Like taking a look at the high here, 448.64. We're nowhere near that, right? Like we're not even close. Like we're about 2-3% off that high, whereas the SPX is like 10 points, literally 10 points, 51.78, right? And the high is 51.89. So 11 points off of all-time highs. The Qs are not. I'd like to see the Qs lead because they're risk on. Something else to keep an eye on there. So Qs are on the softer side, and I don't like to see that. And I also don't like to see the semis lead to the downside, which they've been doing. Granted, we did get a little bit of bounce there today, but still closed down 48 cents. SOX closing down 1%. Nvidia closed green, but the rest of the sector not too great. AMD down 5. Decent bounce level there, the 382 and the 50% fib. So again, maybe this bounces up for a couple days. Apple bounces, AMD bounces. But then maybe we put in a lower high on some of these names. Broadcom, we talked about the damage that's done. It did manage to close up 77 cents today and held this 1200 handle. Again, might get a little bounce here, but careful for lower highs. So something to be aware of. IWM managed to close green today. Again, look at that buy program. Nice buy. And then it held up okay. It held the 200 handle. We did make a slight lower low, though. I'd like to see it down at this trend line, though. That would be, I think, a better entry for a long play, at least for a quicker, bounced couple days. Dow was actually strong all day long. We had the little dip in the morning, and then we just rallied up all day, pretty much. Again, Dow was price cap weighted. I won't make too much out of it, but if we take out the highs, we can go to 395. So Dow's holding up. We talked about the semis. IGV gap down, but closed green. Again, still holding up okay. I still don't love it. I don't like the lower highs there, but you have higher lows too. We could even adjust this now if we really want to, we can go like that, I suppose. I mean, you could even do this too. Let's just do this here for now. We'll just widen that range out. Lower highs and higher lows. Who's going to win? But IGV did come back. Transports needed to happen, right? We talked about this yesterday. We did trigger the head and shoulders. It's already failed. So shoulder, head, right shoulder, it's already failed. That doesn't mean it can't go lower, but it just means we're not going to really rely on this pattern. I'll leave the trend line there for now. This is a good point of reference, but we held the 200 and 100 moving average, and it's still okay. And more importantly, the weekly is still fine. All right, so interest rates today did back off. We had 20-year auction, and it came in pretty decent. I would have bet that we were going to bounce, bonds would bounce anyway, because we just had 8 straight days up on yields. That's actually technically lower. If we use TLT, you can see 8 straight days down on TLT into kind of this last line of defense here. So short term oversold. Even if the auction went poorly, I would assume we would bounce here, right? So that's generally the way it works, a little bit priced in. You can make a case, though, we're starting to kind of flag here on the yield. And additionally, even with that strong auction, it's not like we're backing off that much. You had your knee-jerk jump, and we're hanging right in here. We get back above that reaction high, 4.458 on the 30-year. That's going to just negate that whole move. So I don't really see anything bad here for yields right now, and I don't see how Powell can be super dovish tomorrow. We'll see if the market cares, but I don't see how you could possibly be super dovish tomorrow, given how this market has, how inflation has been lately. We'll talk about oil in a second, but which is putting pressure on yields. But yeah, yields still holding up despite dead cat bounce there and bounce so far. XHB still holding up. What else is new? VNQ down 3 cents. Nothing has changed there. That's still good. On the weekly time frame, XLF still strong, up 20 cents. That can still go higher from here. I think our double tap. Oh, look at that. We got a fake print. I have not checked the weekly. Who else has got that? Let me know in the comments. So I got that on the weekly and the monthly of XLF. Well, you got to be kidding me. It's 44.70 on the XLF. 44.66. This is like. So let me know if you got that fake print on XLF. I was going to the weekly to take a look at the previous high, 41.70. That's our double top. So we'll see if that goes up there or if it gets erased tomorrow. But either way, that's really ridiculous. So I just saw that. Let me know if you guys got that as well. Let's take a look at the KBE just for fun, or KRE. So no, we don't have it there. Let me see about JPM. See, I can see, so here's how I could see that playing out. It's JPM, right? So JPM is just going to gobble up all the regional banks. And I don't think this stock is necessarily done yet. Is it overbought? Yeah. Could it be due for a correction? Yeah. But maybe that's, what's going to happen here in the future. But anyway, KRE on the weaker side. I still don't like that on the weekly. KBE is better. No problems. Nothing has changed. They've been in a range for a long time. XBD pulling back just fractionally. That did get hit early this morning, though, and then it did come back. Again, that can still go higher. It's overbought in the bigger time frames, though. Oil still holding up, so up 59 cents. I'm still looking for 84.50, we'll call it, on oil. That's kind of all the upside I see for it right now. But that's probably enough upside to keep pressure. I mean, if all it has to do is just stay above 80, if we stay, let's say we go up here. So this would be the first. Let's just say we do this. Into April. You got March 1st right here. That's going to give you an average price of like 81 a barrel for the month of March. It's going to be higher than last month, right? It's going to be higher. The CPI is going to be hot again. So, and PPI probably, and PCE and all that good stuff that the Fed looks at. So that's going to be a problem. That's going to be bullish yields. That's why I'm not bearish yields. But that's kind of all I see right now is right 84.50 or so, maybe 85 on overshoot. But, oil's still acting well, and it's doing good. XLE, very close to taking out the high from the other day. I think Friday, 92.22, closed 4 cents below it. There's a lot of resistance up here. XOP, a lot of resistance up here at 150. OIH, I did trim this again today, so I think like 7% or something like that on the first part of our position. Just got over 17 on the second, and I still have a runner here. But I think upside short term is limited. And again, you're going to see we're going right into a 618. And this was kind of like that breakdown bar before we really started to sell. So maybe coming into a little resistance. It's short term overbought, but I'm still holding a runner because on the monthly, this is still a really tight pattern. And daily overbought, but monthly is still good. I still has plenty of room to run. But again, just kind of locking in gains. on the way up with this one. I know a lot of you guys are likely in this with me. CCJ backing off a little bit today. Again, 42 is still the big number there. URNM, you guys know what I'm going to say by the end of the week. You want to be above 47.14. Nat gas managed to scratch out a 4-cent gain, still below the 20 moving average. Does look like it's trying to carve out a bottom here, but I just don't love the pattern. I prefer this to, I just prefer it to flush it. Just flush it one more time, then I'd get interested. But right now, nothing really to do on that front. Dollar index had a good push today. We talked about 104. What was the high of the day? 104.06. And we backed off here. Still a good pop though, and it's back above the moving averages. That's a positive. But you're going to have a lot of resistance here. So if it's going to go higher, it probably needs to consolidate first. But good move here for the dollar. Gold, this is where it gets interesting. So gold down just 260 today. That's nothing, right? We hammered 2150 again. What I'm concerned with is look at GDX down 2.25. So pretty good sell there. GDXJ down 2.25 as well. Outside move down. Silver down just 15 cents, right? No big deal. SIL down 2.8. SILJ outside move down 2.75% drop. Are the miners trying to tell us something here? Maybe. I know I've said this before. You're probably tired of hearing it, but the miners are closer to 52-week lows than 52-week highs, and they sure as hell are nowhere near all-time highs. Get the GDX here. Right, that's a big difference from the price of gold, right? I would prefer the miners to be leading. That's my only gripe. Platinum, pretty good sell today, although, again, I still like it down here, and that's not going to change. Palladium did back off as well. It looks like we're going to close right on that trend line there. So nothing terrible just yet with PL, or excuse me, PA futures. Even if it breaks below that, I'm not too concerned about it. Copper finally backed off down 1.5. And again, you know, it was a month ago or whatever, we were at 365. We got to 415. That's a massive move for copper. I can't describe how big of a move for copper that is. Copper does not move that quickly. So very overbought. Didn't quite get to the 420 handle. Got very close to that pivot. Close enough for government work though, and it did back off. $4 and then $3.95 are your levels to watch on the downside there. Bitcoin finally did some damage here, so we have a lower low, and we're below the 20 MA for the first time since, you know, even like before the breakout really. So like January 28th. Yep. So little damage there. Again, I talked about my concerns on the weekly. So that is something to keep an eye on. We closed below 69 on the weekly. So we'd never close the week above new all-time highs. Again, it's not like the end of the world, but it's just something to pay attention to. Short term, I guess you could say 60K whole round number. I would just say the 50 MA right now, and then through that 52, and then 48 if this even happens. Right? There's nothing saying we can't make higher lows, but definitely a little bit of damage, and it, you know, it's starting to look a little tired here. Ether as well. Back checking to 32. Remember that was a big level from before, so that could be a bounce spot. And you got the 50 MA right below that as well. So I would say that this is probably close to a bounce here in ETH, but definitely a little bit of tiredness here. But again, like we're up, you know, like what, 200 or 150%, right? 25 to 70, 200%, you know, since September. So like you're going to have this kind of volatility here. But it is backing off, finally. All right, spiders here hanging in there. Okay, again, today, a lot of noise. Tomorrow, we'll see what we get with the Fed. I've been keeping a close eye on the yen, though. And I think that could be bigger here in the short term than what the Fed says. I mean, we already know the rate cut odds got pushed back to July. By the way, how many times have we heard that before? Oh, the rate cut odds got pushed out, and the market just doesn't care. I think this is something the market would care about, though, as it's, you know, it's kind of a margin call on the whole world here. But and it's not really something I think that is really priced in, or the media is even really talking about all that much. So, anyways, we'll see what we get tomorrow. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.